Coming in at 6:30 tonight for an executive session. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Egg Harbor City Common Council was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City Hall bulletin board. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City website. Advance written notice of this meeting was sent to the Hamilton Gazette, the News, the Press, and the Current. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic social distancing requirements, the meeting is being conducted via Zoom and conference call. The meeting is also being recorded to air on the Egg Harbor City website at channel 97. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Jim Petty. Brown. Here. Clark. Dash.
Here.
Heist. Sefton.
Here.
Timbers.
Here.
Trithall.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
And Richie.
All right, moving into the resolution for an executive session. May I have a motion? So moved. Second. All right, all in favor, Rose?
Aye.
All right, moving into,
You don't have to do that.
I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting, August 12th, 2021. I want to thank everyone for being patient with us. It's greatly appreciated. We had to go into executive session a little bit longer than expected. So with that, in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Egg Harbor City Common Council was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City Hall bulletin board. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City website. Advance written notice of this meeting was sent to the Hamilton Gazette, News, Press, and the Current. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and social distancing requirements, the meeting is being conducted via Zoom and conference call. The meeting is also being recorded to air on the Egg Harbor City website and channel 97. Roll call, please.
Mayor Jim Petty. Brown. Here. Clark. Here. Dash.
Here.
Heist. Sefton.
Here.
Timbers.
Here.
Trithall.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Richie.
Here. All right, moving on. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 15th, 2021? Council motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. I'd like to open up to the public right now. Does anybody in the public have any comments on any agendas or any items on the agenda? All right. Moving into, we have a mayor's presentation, mayor's award for Ms. Tia Taylor. Mayor's not present, so our city clerk, Meg Steve, is going to present this one.
I have a letter here from the mayor that I'm going to read, and this is Tia Taylor. I'm reading it, it actually is from the mayor. So as you may know, every year I give a mayor's award to graduates of Egg Harbor City Community School 8th grade class of my choice who exhibits leadership, sportsmanship, and community service, and also to Egg Harbor City senior with the highest grade point average in Cedar Creek High School. This year, I wanted to recognize a very special young lady who graduated from St. Basil Academy, a private high school in Pennsylvania. Tia made the difficult choice to leave her friends and family at a very young age. I might add, to pursue her goal of being accepted into a prestigious college upon graduation. In St. Basil Academy, she received academic honors each semester in grades 9 through 12. She was elected student council president and Black Student Union president. She was also state champ in track and field for 4 years, 2-time Milrose Games invitational winner, and was a high school national medalist for 4 years. Because of her hard work and dedication, she has received a full academic and athletic scholarship to Cornell University. I've had the distinct pleasure of being a part of Tia's life at the Egg Harbor City Community School and the 21st Century Community Learning After School program. I can tell you throughout the time she was and still is a kind, mature, loving, and hardworking individual, committed to excellence in both academics and sports. She is a true role model to her peers. To recognize her accomplishments, I would like to present her with the 2021 Mayor's Award. Before I do so, I would like to recognize her mom, Lisa Spence. Family and congratulate them on a job well done. I expect Tia will enjoy great success in her college career with fantastic support she has coupled with the strength, courage, ethics, and determination she possesses. Go get them, Tia.
Go get them, girl.
Not a problem. Moving forward, so we have an add-on right now, a resolution that was discussed in great length during our executive session. This resolution, before I go into it, after we move on it or not, however it goes, I would ask anyone this time and this time only, anyone that has any comments or questions regarding it, your time will come after the resolution is moved or not moved. If you do have any questions or comments, we ask that you step forward, name and where you live, and then to move forward with your questions or comments. So with that, the resolution is to adopt the layoff plan regarding the sale of the utility treatment facility and with regards to our public works and utilities employees at the time. So if I could have a motion. Second. Roll call.
Do you need the questions?
Okay. Anyone in the public, you're now welcome to come up and speak.
Right here.
You can remove your mask too.
I will. I'm aware, I want to make sure everybody here. Good evening.
Yeah, if you want to stand right here, sorry. Next time I'll make sure, next time. Should we move the podium?
Oh, no, I like to get a teacher to come to this.
Sorry, I meant to make sure that was it.
Right, has ambitions.
You're cut off. Turn it around a little bit.
How's that?
That's
There you go.
Okay.
You're on.
It's okay. I'm just saying. That's okay.
Good evening, council, so what brings me here tonight is, I had a meeting, just this week with, your attorney, Mr. Chuck Slagle, and he introduced the layoff plan. Initially, what I heard council president say is that, it was utility and public works. When we first sat down, it was just the utility department because they were part of the water, the sale of the water, right? So somehow we stretched this out a little bit, and I'm not sure why. And that's why I'm here today. So one of the employees who worked in a different department within town was moved to the public works department. And in fact, we have an agreement where this employee went from code enforcement to public works. And this council, or a council, signed off on it to say that this gentleman would be at public works. And so when Mr. Slagle brought up the conversation of who was affected, this employee now is affected. And so we didn't argue, we talked about it and we left the meeting. We filed a grievance on the behalf of the employee to say he's not part of the utility department. However, you had a utility guy who was out of work because he was hurt. Your supervisor used one of the guys from the utility department to come over and he's been working, helping the utility department because he's working as directed, which he should do. So no argument. So I'm stunned that now so let me back up. So yesterday I got a call from the attorney and he basically said, well, you filed a grievance, which is your right to do. Now we just want to broaden it and we're going to include public works. So my question to council is, why don't we just include everybody in the town? Why are we doing this to public works? The public works are not part of the sale of the water company, right? They don't really have anything to do with the water company outside of this gentleman who learned how to drive the motorboat that cleans the streets, right? Who now you're subjecting him to be part of the layoff plan. And now we go a little further because we filed a grievance to include all of public works. And so I'm just not clear what we're trying to do if this whole movement was the sale of the water company, and you guys made the decision to sell the water company. Why are we affecting public works employees? And so that's my protest. And I know that you have a right as council, you have a right to draw your plan up, and we're going to protest the plan when it gets to civil service, because we just don't understand. Now, we are a resident of the town, right? We pay taxes in the town. And so not only as a taxpayer, but also the president of the union, my question to council is, if we're talking about a layoff plan and we already identified a number of employees, why are we including other employees? Because all it's really going to do is create another problem, a rift within the employees themselves. And I know that's not the plan. And maybe that some folks don't know how it works, but the attorney that you hire does, right? He knows how this works. And unfortunately, he also was one of the attorneys that did the layoff plan in Atlantic City, and a lot of employees lost their jobs. And I don't think that we need that. We have a small unit here who do a good job for the city. And so we're asking you, before you make the decision to move forward with your layoff plan to include all of public works, we would ask you to look at that first. Because if you already have identified the number of people you're talking about, and that number fits within public works, fits in with the utility department, then we should just focus on the utility department. Because if not, what stops you from adding clerks, non-union, and everyone else to that same layoff price notice? And so that's my appeal to you today. My other appeal is this, and it's really none of my business, but I just want to say it out loud. I am concerned that you all have a contract with American Water. American Water is eventually going to take over the utility department. But my question to you all is, at what cost? Because right now you pay one public works guy, 2 utility guys to take care of the water department, right? Are they going to train American Water at your cost? And that's something you guys may really want to think about. I don't know what's in that contract, but again, you're counting on that check, and at the end of the day, that check may not be worth what it is if these gentlemen have to teach American Water. Again, none of my business, and if I'm out of line, I apologize. I just want to bring that to your attention. However, I do want to leave with Jody a copy of the agreement that we had, that the council signed off on, that made this gentleman public works. And I would just like to know, why are we including public works when they don't have anything to do with it? And again, he's hired by the council. You all hired him. And when I ask the question, nobody seems to know who's making this decision, but clearly somebody's making a decision. So thank you for your time, and we'll still look forward to working with you, even though we have disagreements, right? Because even though we have disagreements, we don't have to be disagreeable. We can talk about it. And I'm hoping that we can continue to have these conversations. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. King. So, in lieu of what Mr. King said, I made it known to council sitting up here right now during the executive session that we need to dig our feet in deep and hard and work together to make sure we do everything possible, turn every stone needed to make sure nobody loses their job. And we're going to work hand in hand with the finance committee, 3 to 4 members up here right now. I made it known that we're going to include Jody, if needed, our city solicitor, our labor attorney. This is not signed, sealed, and delivered. It's a process that needs to be started with civil service within a 90-day projected period of when it could possibly happen. But just to reassure, I did make it known that we will dig our feet in. We will turn every stone possible to make sure we are doing our due diligence when it comes to making sure we try not to lose anybody or the minimum amount, if even necessary. So I just want to go on record saying that. Again, it's not signed, sealed, and delivered. We will do our due diligence. There's no question about that. And I made it known to them. They are everyone up here is fully aware of that. And they all committed to putting their best foot forward to see what we can do. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Just to address two issues really that Marcus brought up. To the point of the grievance. The grievance had nothing to do with the expansion of the layoff list. It did coincide with it. There was a discussion with it. It would be a situation where if the grievance proceeded, that there would be a question as to the provisional aspect of his current streets and roads title, as opposed to the labor title that he currently occupies, and that's effectively with utilities. As to the expansion into public works, I've referred to it as streets and roads and utilities. The expansion is solely because of the title. It's labor one. And as we discussed at our meeting, this council nor anyone here makes a determination as to whom is the individual that gets let go. Okay, the individuals or individuals. That is determined by civil service. The closeness of the two departments would necessitate us to combine them for civil service purposes. And since everybody holds a labor title that we're talking about, that is why they're included. It does not change the plan. It does not change the intent of the plan. But that goes to address the questions that you brought up.
I disagree, just for the record.
This is Tracy Mulhern from 314 Arago Street. So just kind of looking at a bigger picture, I'm a little concerned about the way our city is going as far as finances. I mean, when I first moved in here in 2010, they laid off the dispatcher, and then we lost our courts, and then we keep losing things, and it's like losing these things hasn't helped the city rebound or go forward. I keep seeing losses and losses and losses. So I'm just appealing to you board members, like a lot of you as leaders are probably visionaries. Like, you know, I'm just asking you to stir up your passion and like look at our city and when your budget is short, sometimes you can't eat out in the restaurant. You have to have a hungry man dinner. But that only goes so far. So I'm just like, I don't want to lose the city. It seems like, are we gonna have to be assimilated by Galloway? Like, I'm a little concerned about the trajectory of the city. So, I mean, even our city solicitor, like creative ideas of how can we get the city back? How can we generate jobs? How can we revitalize the city? How can we come back? How can we, start hiring people again instead of having to lay people off? So I'm just appealing to you, stir up your juices, your creativity. A lot of you guys are leaders. So like, I know leaders have this amazing visionary thing where they see things that other people don't see. They see, opportunities, they have ideas, creative ideas. So I'm just appealing to you as a city board to just please do those juices flowing and come up with some ideas to get the city back growing again instead of having to keep, getting small. So that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't know if anybody doesn't know my name, but my name is Keith Adams, 520 Boston, and I work over here for you fine men and women every day. So one point I just want to bring up before we move forward with this plan, what this plan is, if this plan is going to be submitted, we're going to move forward with a plan for utility and public works, okay? One thing that I see that we should do is, as a group, before we send information out to be analyzing and giving back to us, we need to be informing civil service of the current status of our part-time employees as well. And we're not doing this in this plan. Mr. Slightwell, if I'm saying it right, is not including that. So it would just be like you guys at your job, full-time, and you have a part-timer. We're told, hey, we don't have room for you, we're gonna keep the part-timer. So in my opinion, not one thing against the part-timers here, because everybody here does their job and does it well. And we're all expected, and we do more than what we're supposed to on a daily basis to keep it going, but in my opinion, civil service has to have the right information to analyze it and spit back a proper answer to it. Because at this point, we're talking about people losing their job. This was never the scenario. The scenario was people got hired by New Jersey American or they stayed here. Why it never be official in writing, it was unofficial in that term where nobody had to worry. And I can tell you, I've been worrying 5 years now about this, and we're here. And just as I had vocal reasons about the plant not being sold or being sold, all it was to educate the council and to have educated guests. My thing is tonight, Mr. Slagle is not including the right people that need to be involved in this plan. It should be everybody, okay? Because how can someone have a full-time job, let alone in a union contract with a position and a title, and you have a guy that's a provisional title in the civil service and he's on a layoff plan? And for the record, he's under utilities in there because motor broom operator was not under the jurisdiction of streets and repairs. So when Meg, Steve, and she asked me, I told her to put him under utilities because as long as the utility position had the title that corrected with our contract and jive, the motor room operator / labor, that's where he belonged. So that's on me. And I'll stand up here and say, hey, the reason he's in utilities, that job is not a utilities job. You don't see guys from New Jersey American driving the street sweeper. It's just that simple. So I appreciate your time. I just hope that you understand where the angst is coming from. It's not tonight, it's not last week's meeting, this is 5 years now. And it's just, it's on the edge and everybody's worried. So New Jersey American did their best to get everybody's interviews in and done. We haven't got an answer back from that. There's a possibility people go there. We know we're losing 2 young part-time employees through public works that we should have been trying to retain, not get rid of, because we have an aging infrastructure in our employees. And we have young employees willing and able to do the work, but we're not looking at it to retain it. At the end of the day, we're not doing this because we don't have the money. The money's coming in from this sale, and there's an allowable limit through the DCA to cover the cost of the affected employees. So that's something that I ask you to look at as well before we move forward with a plan. I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this? All right, no one else from the public would like to speak on this? May I have a roll call, please?
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol.
No.
Wright.
No.
Ritchie.
No.
Did I say Sefton? I said, and Sefton, yes, and you said.
Yes.
So we have 1, 5 yes, 3 no. So its resolution has been moved.
Just to reassure everyone, I stand by my word. We will turn every stone. Okay. And for any, that's all I can say now. I stand by my word. I'm sure the 3 to my left and the 4 to my right also will do the same. So, all right. Moving forward with the mayor's report. Yeah.
Okay, yes. The mayor wanted me today to tell everyone that she received a letter from Phil Sartorio resigning from the position of neighborhood preservation coordinator effective August 31st. Phil has done an outstanding job as coordinator. We were blessed to have him on our team. He has offered to stay on the committee to lend his wisdom and support to the city he loves. And she would like to thank him for his service. He's retired. She would like the council to consider Candace Negron for the position. Candace has the skills, the personality, and expertise and grants to fulfill the position. Most importantly, she loves Egg Harbor City, and as proof, she has dedicated many years to serving both the youth and the citizens. So I don't know, do we want to consider that or take some time on that?
Anyone have any input? Anybody like the motion to appoint? Candace motion?
I'll second that.
All right.
And I'll do a roll call.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Dash and Brown.
Yes.
This is for Candace. Okay. Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes.
Okay, she also wanted to make aware for the police department, she has called for the chief test, the captain's test, and the lieutenant's test from civil service. They've all, we sent in the paperwork to have those tests, put out. She did, the food truck festival is Saturday from 3 to 8. And the lead Olympics that were supposed to be this Saturday have been changed to the 21st. All information the same. There's a lot of information out on social media, and I could send out the poster too, reminding everyone, but it has been changed. And that's it. I just wanted to, because I heard you might be leaving early.
Yeah, I gotta go to a football meeting.
At the last meeting, this is not the mayor's report, I'm sorry, but I wanted to get it in before he left. Mason brought up, having an appeals committee for coaches who are disqualified from being a coach due to the fact that they have something old in their past that, and he also mentioned the background checks. Jackie did some research, and there was some information that she wanted to give out to all council so they could be aware of what she found out, so.
Yeah, I think Mason's gonna bring it up.
Oh, you
Yeah, I was going, but then you might as well talk about it now.
Well, basically, most of the municipalities that we contacted all use that indento, which I think was brought up. But a lot of them did say that after they get the fingerprinting there, their own police department does do the background checks, where we were told here that, no, they're not gonna do it anymore. So we really need to get to the core of that to find out, which step we need to go next.
I mean, like I said before, I mean, this is something, I mean, we are the only, there's 2 municipalities in this whole Atlantic County that the city does not do background checks for their basically volunteers. It's us and unit. I mean, luckily, in a way it's a good thing, in a way it's not, but luckily it's the same 4 or 5 coaches that coach every sport every year for the last 16 years. So there's really not a lot of new faces or nothing, but this is something that actually the meeting that I'm going to now is really pushing for. They're giving us the January 1st to come up with some kind of plan. We are a nonprofit organization. A lot of these coaches don't have kids in this program anymore, but we're still out here for these kids. And we're just asking the city to help. I mean, we got to get something planned to keep these kids safe.
I guess the point we were making, we were told we weren't allowed to do the backgrounds. Apparently, we are,
Right.
so maybe we can revisit that.
Mhm.
I know, is Mark here?
Yeah. Is that all you have?
I know.
I think what you should do is discuss it with the head of the police department, which is
Okay.
Marcella.
Okay.
Sit down with Marcella, maybe Mason.
Yeah, I will.
And talk
Definitely.
to her,
Okay.
and she'll be able to, maybe, if she can help you, she'll help.
Okay.
That's all I have. I just wanted to bring it up before he left. I'm sorry.
I have a quick question about the mayor's report. You said that she's requesting for the chief's test, the test, is that for the list of people that have already taken it? Or is she requesting to have another batch of tests done?
We currently don't have a chief's test, so it's calling for a new test. The civil service sent out that the captain and the lieutenant are in the time frame of they call for a new list because the current list that's out, by the time the new one comes out, will have expired. So they call for another list. It's like, it could be a long time down the road. It's always, they have this in place so that you never can be without a list.
So each list is cycle.
Okay, so my other question about that is, if you have somebody that's taken the test and has just kind of been sitting on the list for no apparent reason, you haven't been given any apparent reason, I'm trying to figure out why they would have to go back and redo it when they already did it and they were just kind of left sitting there. When they could have, because they already took the test, they were eligible to be promoted. But they just kind of sat there. Like, so I'm just trying to understand basically what I'm trying to get to is this. Are we doing this just to say we're doing it? Or are we gonna actually look to fill?
I believe they're looking to fill.
So the thing with
But I'm
civil,
speaking
with civil service promotional exams, they're cycled every 3 years. About a year prior to that list expiring, the municipality can petition civil service to give another test before that one expires. So there's always an existing list to promote from if a promotion comes up. I'm sure that's why the mayor's doing that, because if I'm not mistaken, I think that list was certified in December of 19, being 3 years, it's gonna expire next year in December. And with the way the testing happens with the state, it's usually anywhere from 6 to 8 months to get all the testing done, all the grading done, and the list established. And promulgated. So there is an existing list, which I don't know the exact date that it expires, but will expire soon. So before that list expires, another test needs to take place in case that list does expire, and we don't have an expired list on record.
I think I just have to think of a better way to word what I'm asking, because neither one of y'all really answered it, so I'm gonna sit back and think about it.
Okay.
Because neither one of you guys answered the question that I was really getting around to.
Is everybody qualified for these positions?
No, that's not what I was getting around to. I'm getting around
I guess
to.
you'll have to ask the mayor, because
I tried that at the last
if you're,
meeting.
if there's a current list, if there is a current list, I'm not even sure there is. But I don't know what position, if it's captain, lieutenant, or there's, I don't think sergeant has, we do have a current sergeant list. But you have to call for the list and.
All right, so, go ahead, Mark, you have something?
I mean, maybe we can clear it up a little bit. There is a current lieutenant's list, and we have 3 individuals on the list that have passed the civil service test and could be promoted. It's just that they haven't chosen to promote anybody as of yet. So they have to call for this new test. They could promote, we have people on the list that could be promoted. Why they're not being promoted, that's a question that the mayor would have to answer. But we have people on the list ready to be promoted to lieutenant. But we, as Joe Ritchie said, we call for another test, just like we called for this test now, August 23rd, I believe is the deadline, somewhere around there to get me in. And that test won't be given until October. So it goes on, but we don't have a chief's list. We don't have a captain's list. We do have a lieutenant's list
And a
that's
sergeant.
active.
We do have a sergeant as well.
We have a sergeant's list as well? Okay. So we have 2 active lists with people on it. And then we have the other 2 lists that we don't have people on.
Right.
And that's why we're calling for that list. The game plan is, of course, to put the rank structure back into place that we need. And by doing these tests and getting them completed, we'll be able to move people into the positions that we need to be filled.
Thank you. Is that everything with the mayor?
Yes.
Moving on to committee chair reports. I have nothing with finance and redevelopment at this time. Safety, Councilman Trifle. Councilwoman Heights is not present for highway and property parks and playground. Councilman Dashcoat.
Nothing to propose.
Utility, Councilman Ray. Ordinance, Councilwoman Brown.
Nothing.
Land use board, Councilman Timbers.
Nothing except that we will be having a meeting next week.
All right, school board, Councilwoman Brown.
Nothing.
Jeff. Meg.
You saw what I sent out about, right, we gotta start working on it. Because our current insurance, it will expire at the end of the year, so we have to put a plan in place.
Yeah.
Soon.
And Councilman Timbers, Aaron Hiffen.
We're not meeting from summer, we will be meeting.
All right, thank you, everyone. Moving on, Director of Public Safety, Director Emmer.
Make sure it's on myself. Only up there. I'm getting old. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen from council. The Culver City Police Department, for the last 2-week period that we have the records for, which is the period of July 17th to August 1st. Our cycle runs every 15 days, so the next list would come out the 16th. So this is the last list that we have. The police department handled 2 burglaries, 1 fraud, 4 thefts. They handled 7 motor vehicle accidents. We had 87 traffic stops, which resulted in 41 summonses being issued. We had 5 other arrests made. We handled 6 business alarms. We handled 4 residential alarms. We handled a criminal mischief, 9 domestics. You can see there's a lot. 27 EMS incidents in 2 weeks. We had a big problem with that. We did 4 firearms applications. We handled 5 follow-up criminal investigations. They performed 560 property checks and 98 criminal checks in the area. And the police department's doing well. I believe, I don't know if I'm out of place, but I know they're going to talk about buying cars. We're in dire need of cars. I thank the mayor. I'll thank the council ahead of time. And hopefully they're going to let us buy the cars, but we really need cars. Just so you know, real quick thing, we lost 4 cars this year. One car wasn't suitable anymore for patrol work, and we turned that car over to become a code enforcement car. 2 of our cars blew up. They were 2008s. One car was in an accident and was totaled, so we couldn't use that anymore. What I think you have to know, and all the public has to understand, is when you talk about a police car, you're not talking about solely the mileage that's on the odometer. Okay, what you're talking about is the mileage on the odometer plus the hours that that engine runs. It's much harder on an engine running at idle, like at a traffic stop or at an accident scene or things like that. It puts more strain on that. When you compute the hours that our cars run and the mileage on the odometers, most of the cars in the Culver City Police Department have over 400,000 miles on them. And that's the kind of mileage that we have. So these cars are dire need of. Again, I thank you for getting them. We're getting them in the most economical way. We're leasing them, and you'll see that's the most economical way to get them, where it doesn't, impact the public that much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the bicycle patrol?
We have bicycles. What we have right now is, because of the people that we lost, we're training new people to be bicycle police officers, and we use them mostly in the summertime. You will be seeing them. They're just not out there yet, because to certify somebody as a bike officer takes a lot to do. So they're in the process of doing that. We have 2 trainers, Marcella and someone else, I don't know the name off the top of my head, is a trainer. So they're training our people. So you will be seeing that probably shortly.
How are the cameras working out on Main Street? Are they working out well?
Cameras on Main Street, they've been successful to us in certain things. Here's the problem with the cameras on Main Street from our standpoint, is that the police department isn't the only people that have access to the cameras. There are civilians that have access to the cameras. That's a problem, okay? If we want to use the cameras for police investigations, our problem is we don't know what civilians have access to it, and we're not going to jeopardize investigations or informants or anybody, because we don't know who has access to it. I know there's other civilians that do. We don't know, right? Off the top of your head, who all has access to our cameras?
So I have a question. I have a question regarding that. Why do civilians have access to this cameras?
I guess that's a question you would have to ask the mayor.
The person who installed them, but I don't know what Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy,
Person.
I know the mayor has access to them. The mayor.
The governing body doesn't, but regular civilians.
Well, even if the governing body does, if I'm doing a crime, not me, because I don't have the power to do it, because I'm only a civilian, but if Marcella or Detective Brown or one of the police officers want to do a criminal investigation, the last thing they're going to do is do one where civilians have access. No offense to you people sitting up here, but I'm not going to jeopardize police officers or informants or other people's lives with having 9 or 10 or 12 civilians having access to them.
How about like in a bank robbery or something, when you see them using them all the time, or
When they use them in a bank robbery, it's after a crime happened,
right?
and then they can use them. If I want to use them, for instance, surveillance on Philadelphia Avenue.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about crime.
Well, it is crime. It is crime. Yes, but and for a proactive investigation, we can't have civilians have access to our proactive investigation.
When you say access, they can move the camera, they can adjust the camera, they
Yes,
can.
Yes, sir.
I'm very confused. So maybe I'm misunderstanding this. The point of putting the cameras on Philadelphia Avenue was for the police department.
I don't know that. I think they were put on Philadelphia Avenue for the general public. Like if there was a bank robbery, okay, we could turn the cameras back to that area, and then we could play that back.
But what I'm getting at is the main purpose for those cameras was for the police department to be able to access them to make the city safer.
I mean,
That's the whole
I
reason
would,
why we had Jeremy put them up there.
That was, so maybe I'm misunderstood, am I correct? in what I'm
You're
saying?
100% correct. That's
Okay,
the reason we had
so-
Jeremy put those cameras up for you guys.
The next question I need to look into is why do average civilians have access to a system they should not have access to at all? They are not police, if you are not a police officer, you should not have access to those cameras, mayor included,
well, just so that you know, I don't have access to the
but you're public
Yeah,
safety.
camera. But that's, but I'm a civilian,
But you're public
Right,
safety,
but
still,
director.
I'm a civilian.
Just a
I don't have access to it.
He's not sworn officer.
But somebody else.
I didn't put the cameras up,
Right.
I don't do, you know, I mean,
Well, that's the
Just
first
tell
I've
me.
ever heard about that, and I'm gonna tell you, on public record, that's not sitting right with me. I need a better answer than, oh, well, I don't, like that was not the purpose of those cameras for anybody to get on there and be able to turn the cameras or even access them.
So
I'm just telling you what's what.
do they go through a server?
Pardon?
Do they go through a server? The cameras?
Yeah.
So can we find out, can we get to the root of this and understand why we may have civilians who can access this? And if, for what reason?
I can ask, you know, I mean, I guess I can ask Jeremy, but Jeremy's gonna, I'm sure Jeremy's answer is gonna be, he's
Redirect.
doing what he's told to be do by someone.
He's maintenance of it, isn't he?
Well, he sets the whole things up, though. He programs them, and all, right now, I know, like, the police could go on it and can move the camera to wherever they want, and they can play it back. That's what I'm saying, like, if there was a bank robbery at 6:30 tonight, the police could go back and play back the video. But again, the video is only gonna be where the cameras are set,
Right.
okay? So, I mean, that's the other thing, like we're, you know,
But a civilian can play back too.
pardon?
A civilian can play back too.
So we trade this money in the system,
See what happens,
and
they're involved.
it kind of, this just kind of seems really.
But it can be used if there's a crime.
It can be used, yes.
So provided it's evidentiary.
Yeah.
But it's not working to its full capacity because you're not able to do surveillance
Proactive
type work
investigation.
because unknown people have access to cameras that are supposed to be for our police department.
The whole purpose of this camera.
And I'm just telling you what
Can you ascertain this information, bring it back to council so
I
we
can ask, and if
Yeah,
I
you
get it, I get it. I'll-
because we, you know.
Yeah, that's not, I'm not sitting well with that.
Right.
It's not your fault, Mark, but thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, Mark. All right. I apologize for that in-depth conversation. Jody, your CFO report.
I don't have.
All right, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Angela, city, or, I'm sorry, Matt, your city clerk.
I'm not.
Even better, all right. Angela, city attorney.
Oh, nothing, okay, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Councilman Ritchie. So I have a piece of good news. Our solar agreement is finished, and I'm waiting for the engineer's office to give me a description, which they promised me maybe Monday or Tuesday. Once it's finished, I'll put in a resolution so we can sign it and have it ready for the next meeting, I hope.
Great.
We need a resolution to adopt our manual. There have been numerous changes made to the manual since 2014. And so I thought it best if we put on a resolution to adopt it in full, including all of the changes that have been made. Just a clean up. So I'll need a motion for the resolution and a second.
Yeah, before, I'll just read it real quick. So it's a resolution adopting personnel manual for the city of Egg Harbor, whereas the city has heretofore adopted the personnel manual in August 2014. City council has made revisions to the manual. And it is the intent of the resolution to approve and adopt the updated manual by the city council of the city of Egg Harbor. That the annex personnel manual employee handbook annex here to is hereby adopted. May I have a motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
So moving on to our insurance. So Meg is correct, our insurance expires at the end of this year. So the finance committee, I believe, said they would like other quotes. They want to see if statewide is still suitable for our needs. We also have an Atlantic County JIP that they're interested in. So Hardenberg sent some information on both. They said if we're interested in that, the Atlantic County JIP has an application fee of $1,500 just for the application. If we go with that JIP, then we'll incorporate the $1,500 into the payment. But if we don't go with the JIP, then it's $1,500 for the application. Along with that, the statewide, we need to send out a notice to statewide that we may not be renewing with them beginning next year. And so those two things we can either do now, or I can put on a resolution for our next meeting.
Is there a time frame when we have to notify?
Yes, we have to notify them by the end of August.
It's suggested, isn't it? Did they use the word suggested?
Yeah, but we should do it sooner rather than later. So we could I could put the resolution together, we could have it for the next meeting. So you all can think about it. And then finally, what we discussed in closed session, I need a resolution to authorize the attorney fee in the matter of authority versus a Park City, in reference to the memorandum that was sent to the GRC on July 27th, 2021. I'll make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Dash.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trigal.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes.
Our next meeting is not till September.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought we had.
Yes, yeah, it is. Yes. August, September, we have two, October, November, December.
So we have one August 26th, right?
Yeah.
I have it on my calendar.
I was just checking, you were checking to see if we was all on, right? I got it.
Just on their toes.
With that, anybody have any
And then in
questions?
October.
Otherwise,
Any questions? No? Thank you, Angela.
thank you very much.
Brian, your time is now. Engineer's report.
All right, I'll keep it brief. We started working on the survey work for the design for the 300 block of St. Louis Avenue. Solar update, Angela gave the updates there, so we're all set. Atlantic Avenue, the Finance Commission had promised us a permit for our project by September 11th. They actually have a meeting tomorrow. We are on their agenda for the first approval, this will be our second and final approval in September. So we are on pace to get that done. So that's really it for me, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, I have several. Chicago Avenue.
Yeah, so we are going to apply to the state for a modification of project limits. We have funding for the 1 and 200 blocks. And essentially, we have to stretch out the limits to be able to extend funding out in. They have not answered our discretionary aid application. So the city, if it wants to sort of push the issue, could write a letter, have the mayor write a letter, or have you write a letter, frankly, requesting an answer to that, because they suggested that we apply in March. They suggested we apply in February. We applied in March, and we still haven't heard back. That was sort of the expressed intended route. So, again, our backup plan is to do the modification project limits, but we still haven't heard back on discretionary aid. That's why that's.
Okay, and then could you go on record once again about why Wawa has stalled?
Thank you, Jesus. Oh, my gosh.
Sure.
Wait,
So-
talk a little bit louder.
Turn around to the camera.
So we reached out to the developer and they identified a utility pole conflict. They submitted applications to Atlantic City Electric and to Verizon in December. And as of a month ago, none of the work had occurred. New poles are set now, new transformers are there, but there is still utility work that needs to be done. The way that Wawa works with developers, because it's a 99-year lease and it's sort of a partnership where the developer develops the site, and once the site is ready, they turn it over to Wawa. Wawa will not accept the site until it is 100% ready and they move in and it's theirs for the next 99 years. So the developer who owns the land and did all the site work can't finish all of the site work, be able to turn it over until all of the utility work is done. From what I understand, new poles are set, things are there, but it's not all completed yet. So they should be back to be able to finish that work up and then turn it over to Wawa. Once Wawa has it, I mean, that sort of fly about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are
They
there still
do these
old
every-
poles up?
What's that?
Are some of the old poles still up?
I think the old poles were removed, at least the ones that were in conflict. I see the new poles set. I saw the transformers. Actually, I drove by on the way here just to be sure. So it seems like they're sort of on the cusp. But from what I understand, it's not all completed. And then the developer will still have a week or so of work to clean up and finish their portion before they turn it over to Wawa. But I mean, they've not pulled out of the project, certainly. I mean, the signs that they have over there literally say join Wawa.
Yeah.
So, there's no risk of that at this point. They're committed to the project. It's just trying to get utility companies to get out of the way.
Yeah, because there's apparently a lot of misconceptions about what's going on at Wawa.
Sure.
And it's kind of hard as a city council member when you're trying to give people the correct answer, but it's not the answer they want, or it's not entertaining enough. It's like, oh, no, it can't be because of utility poles.
That's way too
I
simple.
did not tell you how many people I had to message. I'm like, as far as I know, it's not because of contamination. It's not because all these rumors that are flying around. It's because of poles that two companies are involved in, and one company we haven't heard anything back from. That's what the holdup is. I don't know where you guys are getting these stories from, but you try to educate people in the most polite way possible, and then after you educate one, you have 10 that come behind you and say the same thing in different words.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to combat misinformation, especially with stuff like that. And it's funny, people are like, oh, well, I see they have signs, so why must have pulled out? I'm like, well, if you read the bottom line.
It says join Wawa.
Yeah, so that'd be false advertising while I pulled out the project. And I can tell you that the developer has submitted an application to subdivide off the corner lot up at Atlantic and Philadelphia, because they still have a pad site there, and that's what they're trying to sell at this point. So that application is in. There was some discrepancy with the title work that needed to be sorted out. That was just resolved, I guess, late last week. So they missed the deadline for this upcoming planning board meeting, but for the next land use board meeting in September, they'll be on to subdivide off a new lot 5.01, which will be the pad site in the corner, which is what's being currently advertised.
Thank you. Two more things, not to keep you. Industrial park, so we sold those two properties to auction.
Okay.
The other two properties, I remember some rumors of it being contaminated. Can we look into that again to reassure there is none?
Yeah, I mean, we
And
did,
get
if you want, I can memorialize it in the form of like a small report or something. I mean, we went back and looked, there's no DP records, there's no records that I was able to come across that we had or that the city clerk had. When we went through that, so I mean, I can just, put a little short form, one-page memo, like here's what we looked into and you can find it.
Okay, because I'd like to see them go up for auction next.
Yeah.
Actually, I got two more things, sorry. The Route 30 work.
Yes.
I see them resurfacing whatever they're doing in Galloway. Is that coming, I don't remember, is that coming all the way down to us? What's that?
Yeah, it actually stretches all the way to Mullica. And it's a little confusing at the moment because my understanding is South State has two subcontractors doing their
Yeah,
paving.
they're doing one down that way, one down that way.
Yeah, Arrowag is paving this half and 80 Stone is paving the other half, all under, as subcontractors to South State. So, it looks like two different jobs, looks like three different contractors.
Yep.
It's one big job that's just a lot of people working.
Okay.
It seems like one contractor's making a lot more progress. Of course, they're down in Galloway.
And the last thing, I promise, the New Orleans project, New Orleans Avenue. The properties that we were not decided not to subdivide, I think, or to decide.
I think you gave a proposal, but we
Right.
put it on hold.
Yeah,
I think it was T.
we never moved forward with that proposal.
I don't know. Okay.
I could put it on,
Yeah.
or send it out again.
Yeah, let's read this. Sorry. That's all I have for you. Anybody else have anything for Ron? I think I did everything.
I do. So with the Route 30 project, like right there on Bremen Avenue, there's flooding there. And I know like the mayor had mentioned that there was something over here towards the park.
Yeah, so there's flooding a lot of places right now. Part of that is the nature of where we are in the project. The contractor first has to go through and do what's called base paving, which is that bottom layer asphalt, which has a larger diameter aggregate. It's a little stronger, but it doesn't make for a good riding course. And after you do a bunch of stormwater work where you have to dig it up and you have deep trenches and everything, you want to put that down and let it settle for a So that has settled, and frankly, when they're laying that down, they're not paying attention, they're just sort of up and down, because they gotta come back and mill a bunch of it off. When they do the final paving, that's when they will go through and shoot grades and grade everything to the inlets.
All right, so that corner's not.
Yeah, the way things are now is no reflection of the way that they should be when the project is complete.
Okay, yeah, I saw it the other day and I was like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so it's Raymond Avenue, you'll notice that they added a bunch of curb there. And part of the reason you see water there is that the road has a cross slope, it's coming down towards the curb line. Well, now that curb line sort of juts in, so it goes, up the road a little bit.
Right.
So the water right now just gets to the end and it's sort of stuck because it can't get up the road and make that rest. When they do the surface paving, they're going to regrade that, and they're actually gonna pave, they're gonna extend the paving limits. The state is going to pave all the way up to the end of the curb line so that they can make sure that they get the drainage to flow off the end. And then you guys authorize to extend all the way down the railroad tracks, so the entire section of Green Avenue, from just shy of the railroad tracks all the way to 30 will be repaved. That should be done.
And have you heard anything about Acme? I know they were supposed to come in and then someone's coming in to do offices and now it's just.
So that project was approved and that gentleman was making slow and gradual progress. The last update, last time this came up, somebody else had heard something that
I asked about it.
Yeah, Donna had told me she spoke to him and it was all COVID related.
Yeah, that's what I was told. It's COVID.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like a large company or anything doing it. It's one guy who, sort of acting as his own contractor and trying to get the building up and running.
It's down brick by brick. Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be a.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, I remember, he came in initially and he said, yeah, we looked at it, it just needs a new roof. I was like, well, some of the walls, you can see light there, so you might want to work on that. But, that's
Looks
up
better
to
than-
him. If he, an engineer decided to seal it, good for him. I'm not good.
Yeah. Okay, that was it.
All right, anyone else? Everyone's good? All right, moving on to 17, the resolution. I just want to say this is 8 months in the making. I tabled it last meeting. I wanted to make sure all the language was right. I want to thank Mr. King, the team members and Teamsters working hand in hand with us to come to a mutual agreement with this contract. I personally believe it benefits both the Teamster members and also the city. So, Mr. King, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And moving forward, if I can have a motion to authorize the local 331 Teamsters contract.
So moved.
I second it.
All right, roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes.
All right, moving on to a resolution authorizing police car purchase lease.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
prior to us moving on, just because we're just talking about the Teamsters,
Yes.
if possible, I'd like to revisit our vote on sitting in the layoff plan. It's only because I have this, or if you give me a moment to speak on it. Okay, so I was doing some quick research, and it seems like municipalities, from what I read, they have an obligation to avoid layoffs. Because there were some no votes, that gives me some concern. I want to know if we did the process correctly. First thing we're supposed to do is afford voluntary alternatives to not just those employees, but all employees affected, maybe all city employees. And those alternatives are possibly, these are just to cover whatever funds that would be needed to keep people. So basically spreading out or mitigating the loss over all the employees. Did we offering voluntary alternatives, such as leaves of absence without pay, voluntary furloughs, voluntary reductions in work hours, or demotions that may be able to keep these employees, and I'm not necessarily talking about the employees that are part-timers, but if there's one or there's two employees that we're concerned about them being laid off. Did we kind of try to spread that out first? And these are voluntary. So we would have, before we send this notice, we would have sent something to the unions and said, hey, did you ask your people? Since we just voted on Mr. King, did you guys receive anything as far as voluntary alternatives?
We have not. The only thing we had was a conversation with your attorney, and we haven't reviewed anything at all.
Okay. So, and doing more research, it says if that doesn't work, it's at that point that we look for involuntary alternatives, right? That's promotions, hiring freezes, separating employees who do not have permanent status, removing provisional to their permanent titles, previous permanent titles, which we have a guy who's at a provisional title, so it doesn't look like we get that. And then reassigning employees, assisting with transfers, and then non-permanent employees would be laid off first, and then you would look at permanents in order of their seniority. If we did not do these steps, I think we should reopen the vote, and we should all say, hey, maybe we should vote no, and then take the voluntary step. See if the employees want to be able to figure this out amongst themselves first, before we send in a layoff plan.
Okay. I'll say this, I know there's a time constraint, 90 days from civil service. That's all I'm saying. I'll open it up to Mr. Schreiber, if you have any comment in lieu of that, or our city solicitor.
I would indicate that 8.1.2, which is the section you're reading from, was complied with. Okay. The reason that those other avenues were not explored, because at this point in time, we have a lot of factors that are involved with this layoff plan that did not lend itself to going to, say, a voluntary furlough across the board with the town. Don't know if New Jersey Water is going to hire anybody. There was a consideration at one point in time of whether somebody was going to retire or not. Okay, so we don't know the parameters, just on not naming all the aspects. We don't know those parameters for what could happen. Does that mean that because that is not done, because that wasn't offered, because we wouldn't know the exact amount that was required, whether that it does not make it comply? No, it complies. The fact of the matter is, you brought up part-timers. The part-timers are named in that layoff plan as being effectively eliminated. So that's part of the plan. So that's part of the layoff plan that was indicated to the Teamsters members sitting at the table. The part-timers will be the first to go. Thereafter, we have to make a determination based on what New Jersey Water does, okay, and what civil service does as to how they classify everybody as far as ranking, as to who is left and what's left. I totally support the council president's position that, you know, this is not the end. Submitting this layoff plan is not the end of discussions. There will be additional discussions, and there should be, because at the time that we actually then know from civil service where everybody falls, we'll know by that time what New Jersey Water is going to do. At that point in time, we can make a better informed decision, working with the Teamsters in order to try to come up with an idea or ideas to save the jobs, which was enunciated by council president and the rest of the council as a main goal of this once this plan goes in. I will indicate the same thing that council president just raised. We're under a time constraint on this now. We're looking at the end of December. It was December 1st. Now it may be the end of December. We're under a time constraint to get this done and at least get it approved by civil service. Approval does not mean that you have to implement that plan.
So, Council President.
If I may.
Could
If I may, I believe Council President voted no on this, and I fully support Council President, and so I'd like to vote no as well. I'd like to change my vote.
I'd like to make a motion that we revisit the vote. Second.
So I did my research.
Table the vote.
Alright,
You choose.
so we'll table it until next
Either
meeting.
re-vote or just hold it off until the next meeting.
We can also, under rules, we can have a vote on opening, on reopening it. And if that passes, then we can reopen.
I got 2 minutes, so whatever we want to do.
So I made a motion that we reopen.
Second. My answer is still no.
I think we need to vote on whether we're gonna open or not.
Yeah, what we're doing.
All right, roll call then.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Tricol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes.
Okay, now that you've reopened it, either choose to table it, give yourself some time to think about it, wait until the next meeting, or you can retake the vote as it is.
Could I, Council President?
Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing I want to say is this, that we have not received anything in writing. We had a conversation with your attorney. We don't even know what the plan is. And under civil service, before you submit that plan, we are at least supposed to know what it is and review it to raise whatever objections that we have. We don't know what the plan is because at that meeting that we had, initially it was just the utility department. Because we raised the grievance, your attorney now says he's expanding the number of employees. So I'm really not clear about what we're doing. And so I would ask you to rethink that piece and at least make us part of that process because we're going to be the ones affected. And with the other piece that's going to be affected, come wintertime, when you need bodies in the street, you may wind up losing some of those when you talk about cleaning the street. So I just want to say that piece.
I would suggest we table it to the next meeting. We all do our due diligence, do our research, call whoever you need to call to get the proper information. My phone is open, city solicitor is going to be open. Our labor attorney's phone is going to be open. If you want to reach out to Mr. King, whoever, do your due diligence. So come next on the 26th, this vote goes through. All right. So does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Table.
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 I'll make a motion to table.
I don't see why this can't get done.
All in favor?
No. Nope.
Take a roll call.
So we're tabling the resolution.
The motion is to table it.
So are we withdrawing the resolution that was?
Yes.
Yes.
Brown,
Question mark.
Yes.
No, this is the table. No, I understand.
is to withdraw the resolution.
I'm so
Tabling
confused with what's going on right now.
I think
So I don't think it's fair
No,
to ask me to give you a vote on something. I'm so confused about what just happened. That's why I said
fine.
question mark.
You can abstain.
I'll abstain.
You can either abstain or you can pass and it'll come back to you at the end.
No, I'll abstain.
I believe what we're saying, we're withdrawing the resolution that was number.
No, I understand.
No, oh, okay.
I understand that part. I just don't understand how we got back to here.
We made a motion to revisit it because there was additional information brought up by Councilman Timbers that gives us some more things to think about. So me personally, I wasn't comfortable, after hearing what Councilman Timbers said, I wasn't comfortable that we did all of our due diligence to get to that point. So in light of that new information that Councilman Timbers brought, I'm not comfortable with the vote that I did originally. So I asked us to either revote or to table.
So the vote right now is whether or not to table.
Correct.
Yes or no to table it.
Correct.
Okay.
So you can move forward with the roll call.
Okay. Do you want me to? Brown,
We can table it, yes.
okay. Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
No, I think we should handle it tonight because of timing issues. If timing is of the essence, then we should decide now.
Tricol,
I said no.
Wright,
No.
Ritchie.
Yes.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 yes, 5 yes. 5 yes, 3 no.
For tabling.
For
Yes.
table.
For retable. And we'll revisit it August 26th.
Yes.
So just so I'm clear, the job of council right now is to kind of go in and do our own research to see what alternatives weren't brought to our attention. Is that what we're doing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure I know what I'm doing.
Okay. I apologize for that. So moving to. Yes. Like to dismiss.
So long,
Councilor,
everybody.
Right.
I'm not trying to like say we should do what, I just want to make one, we are not locked into actually lengthy the job by doing this plan.
We need that clear. Yeah, we need that. It's just the process needs to begin, just in case it comes to fruition. All right, so moving on to 18, a resolution to authorize police car purchase lease. City of Egg Harbor authorizes the purchasing agent to purchase certain goods or services from those approved New Jersey state contract vendors on the attached list pursuant to all conditions of the individual state contracts. May I have a motion, please? Second.
And this is for 3 vehicles, I don't know if that's,
It wasn't in there.
I don't think that's anywhere actually stated, it's just authorizing the state contract. So for 3 vehicles, most likely it'll be for a year at least.
Do we know what kind of police vehicles, interceptors?
2 interceptors and 1 F-150, which is able to be used as a pursuit vehicle. But it will be able to trail, like their trailer and equipment and stuff like that if needed. Right now, we don't have any of that.
We had a motion, do we have a second?
Yes.
All right, roll call, please.
Brown.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trical.
Yes.
Wright. Oh, right, okay, Richie.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Number 19. Mr. McGowan, looking to appoint you as a floodplain administrator of R&B engineers. The city needs a national flood insurance program floodplain coordinator. City engineer Ron McGowan of Remington and Brennick Engineers has the qualifications for this position. Common Council of the City of Egg Harbor would like to appoint Mr. Ryan McGowan as a national flood insurance program floodplain coordinator. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Abstain. Sorry, Ryan. Number 20, resolution, retired Lieutenant Dylan Hutton accumulated absences. May I have a motion to pay out 320 vacation hours, 485.5 comp hours?
So moved.
Second, please. Second. Roll call.
Brown.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
He resigned, not retired, by the way, just to clarify.
Retired, sorry.
17. Do we have any caps on payouts as far as vacation?
It's, vacation is, according to civil services, 2 years max, and we don't currently have anything in our contract, but I would suggest that we, our police contract, that I would suggest we. Quite a large sum.
Yeah, I think that was when we had the last ordinance meeting, we actually spoke, I brought it up to Angela about going through and tightening up the police contracts.
Our
That was one of the
comp
things that
hours
was brought up.
on, is that per contract or per bargaining unit?
Really, I mean, I would say for bargaining unit, yeah, I mean, they're really the police are really the only ones that have any.
That's right, say it out loud.
That was yes.
Yes.
Okay. Richie.
Yes.
Exactly.
How many yes?
Okay, I'm sorry. Trical. I see Trical.
Yes. All right, number 21, resolution, a lien premium sheet to Egg Harbor City, 628 Buffalo Avenue. This lien known as 628 Buffalo Avenue was foreclosed on by HTC REO LLC on 7/14/20. Premium of $1,200 was paid for the lien, for this lien by PC7 LLC. In the event of a foreclosure of the tax sale certificate, the premium shall cheat to the municipality. The tax collector shall issue a check in the amount of $1,200 payable to the city, Egg Harbor City Current Fund. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Brown.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Sefton.
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Trical.
Yes.
Wright.
Richie.
Richie.
Yes.
Don't make it together, they almost at the end.
Resolution,
Trical in there.
22. Owner of 347 Chicago Avenue, designated 100% disabled veteran by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, property tax exempt. This was designated 100% disabled veteran by the United States, and this designation has been approved by Egg Harbor City Tax Assessor William M. Johnson, effective May 25th, 2021. So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trical,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. 23, utility credit for 402 Warriors Pike. This property sustained major fire damage on Saturday, 29th, 2021, and has not been in operation at this location since. Utility bill in the amount of $260 was issued on utility account for this property, and the owner has requested a credit in this amount. May I have a motion? Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trical,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. 24, sewer credit refund for 218 London Avenue. Utility bill in the amount of $349 was issued to the account. Utility bill was excessive due to a broken pipe that was subsequently repaired. May I have a motion, please?
So.
Second, roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Absolutely.
Trical,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Number 25, another resolution, sewer credit for 3326 Terrace. Utility, sewer credit for 3326 Terrace. Utility bill in the amount of $791.50 for this property was issued on 6/3. Utility bill was excessive due to a water leak that was fixed by a licensed plumber on 6/11, and a receipt was provided for the repairs. Approximately 42,000 gallons of water was leaked. May I have a motion?
Question,
Yes.
I know it said sewer, we have to pay sewer, don't we? Or is this a water leak? That's why I questioned it for the sewer, or because don't we have to pay ECA for anything sewer?
So if it's just a water leak and it didn't go down the sewer, that's why we give them credit for the sewer.
Okay, so it didn't go into the sewer, say it's a water leak then. Okay, thank you.
Were leaked out and did not go into the sewer. Roll call.
I missed the motion.
All right, motion,
Okay.
Second.
roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trical,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Okay, we are going to now introduce an ordinance number 12, 2021, amending chapter 52 entitled Officers and Employees, Article 7 entitled Police Department Appointments of the General Code of the City of Egg Harbor to provide City of Egg Harbor with the authority to hire entry-level police officers who are exempt from taking the civil service examination. This is revisiting, we had some language change in this from the last meeting. So if there's no questions or comments, may I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, may I have a motion to advertise notice of introduction in the Hamilton Gazette on August 18th for a public hearing on the 26th?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 27. We're going to open up to a public hearing for ordinance number 9, 2021. Bond ordinance authorizing the completion of various capital improvements in the city of Egg Harbor, County of Atlantic, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $100,000. Therefore authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes in the aggregate principal amount of $90,000. May I have a motion to open to public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Anyone from the public have any questions or comments on this ordinance? No one? May I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. May I have a motion to adopt?
Make motion.
Second. Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trical,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. In addition to, may I have a motion to advertise the notice of adoption in the Hamilton Gazette on August 18th? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 28, we're going to open up a public hearing for ordinance number 10, 2021, amending chapter 170 of the City of Egg Harbor regarding cannabis.
Second.
All right, anybody in the public have any questions or comments regarding ordinance number 10, 2021? All right, may I have a motion to close?
Make motion.
Second.
All right, may I have a motion to adopt?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trical,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. May I have a motion to advertise this notice of adoption in the Hamilton Gazette on August 18th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have one last public hearing For ordinance number 11, 2021, City of Egg Harbor, County of Atlantic, New Jersey, approving a joint municipal court shared services agreement for the operation of the joint municipal court with the town of Hamilton. I have a motion to open the public.
So moved.
Second. Anybody in the public have any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. King.
Any reason why, the city's not going with the county court?
Yes, the offer from the town of Hamilton was more lucrative.
Say it again.
It was much more lucrative for us to stay with them.
Okay. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Anybody else from the public? Motion to close. Second to close.
Second.
All right. I have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trico,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. If I may ask, everyone in the audience, if you could, keep it down, the background noise on the Zoom feed is catching them.
Mark.
You can't hear you.
Hey, I'm sorry, they're telling me to be quiet.
It's
I'll
the,
put you in the corner in a minute. My
back-
hearing aids are off.
that's all right. The background noise on the Zoom is catching it. All right, moving on to the bill list. Any,
Make motion to that.
oh, sorry.
Advertise.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have a
yeah.
motion to advertise notice of adoption of the think of that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Moving on to the bill list. Any questions, comments, or concerns with the bill list? If not, I have a motion. to Second,
Second.
roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trico,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right, like to open it up to the council. Did the mayor leave any final
No.
words? Okay. Like to open up the council. We'll start down there. Councilwoman Clark, Councilwoman Brown,
Nothing.
Councilman Trithon.
Just on the issue that we had with Public Works, my vote is my vote. But then we'll try to do what we can to avoid, trying to do everything we can, face this before my job, and, you know, I know what it's like, so.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Sefton. Councilman Dash.
Yeah, I'd like to just reiterate that there's no one here on council that wants to see any layoffs at all. The initial plan to send out the notices was just what we believed was the first step that we were required to do. It in no way is intended to convey that we're looking for layoffs. We will absolutely do everything we can to prevent that. We're waiting to see what we're going to do. We're waiting to see what the budget's going to hold. So there's other things in there that are going to come into play. But you have my word, and I think I can speak for everyone up here. We typically work as a team all the time. That we will do everything we can to prevent any layoffs.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate that.
Councilman Timbers.
Just wanted to reiterate what everyone was saying. Just want to make sure that we exhausted all avenues, voluntary and involuntary.
So I'm gonna piggyback on that, as I said in the beginning of the meeting, rest assured, we will turn every stone. You got my word on that. So you can only do it. And I know I got a support cast sitting up here, even down to the mayor, to the individual sitting in front of us, that will do the same. So with that, I'd like to have a motion to open a public comment.
So moved.
Second. Anybody in public have any comments?
I do.
Mr. King.
And I probably will be here for about an hour, so.
Step on up, sir.
I may be here for about an hour, so just to keep it a little longer, but I just truly want to say thank you all for getting the contract done. I know it took a little while. I was a little heated last meeting. Only wish I was here. But with that being said, sincerely, thank you for getting that contract done. I'm sure that the employees really appreciate it. So that's what I really want to say. Also, if we could get a copy of the policy manual, because you approved it, I just want to make sure that those amendments that you approve are not in violation of contract. And then last, I know that the government body received money for PPE under the federal monies, and at some point, we'd like to have some discussion about what we're going to do to make sure that we keep people safe during this uprising COVID. So again, thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Anybody else from the public with any comments? Once, go twice.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I thank you all again with your patience and all input here tonight. Everyone.
I raised my hand.
Aye.
Crap.